Hi, I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. On this program, the mayor has the opportunity to chat with you about things taking place in the township and introduce you to people making things happen in the township. And speaking of making things happen in the township, we're delighted to welcome our guest today, our Superintendent of Schools, David Cittadino. Superintendent, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
Mayor, how have you been?
Gene. Good. Good to see you again.
Good to be here. Mayor, since last we met, I think we've had a couple of sort of sad events in the township. The passing of two fine people, Art Haney and Ann Miller.
Yeah, they were, with Art Haney, he was a former elected
Right.
mayor. There was only a handful of us. There was only a few people that have been elected mayor of this town. Art was respected. I really benefited from his help. He's helped me since I've been the mayor. He helped me get elected the first time. Then he was part of my transition team. Then he spearheaded my re-election campaign in the second time. So Art, he was a good guy. He was a professional's professional.
Yeah.
As you said, he came into the room and he drew attention to
was
himself.
a presence. Yeah.
He was a presence in the room, excellent speaker, and he was involved in a lot of things in town. And he continued to be involved.
Yeah.
So, and I was kind of not only saddened but I was shocked by his passing.
I was too.
Very quick.
Yeah.
Of course, our thoughts and our prayers was with his family.
Right.
He was given a really tremendous send-off. His funeral was well attended.
Right.
So it was obvious that we lost a leader, one of our leaders, past mayor, but someone who continued to be very active in Old Bridge politics. And also Ann Miller.
And Ann Miller, Ann Miller was a delightful lady.
We knew she was in her 90s.
Yeah.
We all had money that we were going to have a 100th birthday party for. We didn't make it, but we're going to still have a 100-year birthday party for her. Another person who was dominant figure, attended every council meeting. Yeah. And was just involved in the Historical Society, was a history book, was a walking history lesson of the township. And she was such a nice person. Yes. She was just a nice person. Probably my biggest supporter in town. She always had a nice thing to say, and she would always warn me, don't watch out for that one. But she was just, very sad. But again, she had a tremendous life. Yeah. I think any of us would sign up for that life.
I'd sign up for 93 years right now.
93 years old, and right up until the end. She was driving to the council meetings a couple of weeks before. She was very active, and she's going to be remembered. I'm not concerned about Ms. Miller ever being forgotten here in town. The same thing with Art Haney. Right. So
we're losing too many good people, Mayor.
It seems that's always to say, God always takes the good ones.
That's right.
But we'll get by.
Okay.
Just seems it always comes in.
It does.
Yeah,
in threes. Some people say
threes.
It always comes in threes. There's a cliche that comes in threes. Mm-hmm. Superintendent, again, welcome. I just want to let you know this is your 6th appearance with us.
Wow.
Your first appearance with us was in 2013 after you took office. And you've been here every year, and we thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
It's my pleasure to be here. It's always an opportunity to reach out to Old Bridge and give them some information and be heard.
Well, school is already underway, a week or two. Can you fill us in on a little of what's going on with some of the programs and some of the new initiatives?
Well, we had a great kickoff to the school year. Late August, we had our new teacher orientation where we welcomed in some of our new staff, about 30 strong.
Really?
It kicks off with a opportunity to provide them with the information they need about being a successful educator, about our programs, how to use our technology. And then we do something that's kind of original. We give them also a little tour of Old Bridge. We put them on a school bus in the afternoon. We drive around to the schools. We give a history of some of our properties in our town, how it's transformed, and we visit some of the neighborhoods where our students come from so they can see the demographics in the different areas of Old Bridge and know exactly how to best serve our students in our community. We also have a summer institute where a lot of our veteran teachers just come in and volunteer in the summertime to come in and get some more enrichment and opportunities to learn. We hope that it's raining on those days so they're not missing any beach days. We've been successful with that the past few years, and it's always nicely sponsored by community businesses that provide a luncheon for everyone. So it's a great opportunity to kick off the school year, and this year was no different.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that, Superintendent. One thing you mentioned off the air briefly was Salk School had a little issue.
Yes. So right about the time when we were doing those in-service days with my leadership team, I had received word from a staff member at Salk School that there was some surface mold in the penicillin family that was found on some chairs, tables, items within a few classrooms. And I knew that it had become almost an epidemic in school districts across the state. So we took a very proactive approach and hired an engineering company that works in environmental hygiene to come in and to kind of do an assessment of the building. And then based upon some other findings that we had, we said, you know, let's not waste our time piecemealing the remediation of the school. And obviously having student and staff wellness as our guiding factor, we hired another company, Bristol Environmental, to come in and do the complete remediation and clean up. It took about a week or so, day and night of working, well, up to 30-man crews to get completely done. But as of last Sunday, we had a clean bill of health for the school, and the school opened to our staff on Tuesday so they can get their classrooms ready. Teachers volunteered, came in. It was great to have them there. Right. And on Wednesday, the students came back the 12th to the school, and the school did a great job, from leadership through our staff, to make the students feel like this was their orientation day, have opportunities for them to get to feel comfortable in the school. You know, we even had I was able to reach out to an anonymous benefactor who really was great and just gave me the opportunity to give financial relief to those teachers who lost things like classroom decorations, personal items that they bought to make the classroom better. Yes. And didn't want to be known, but just wanted to work with me and provide that immediate relief for teachers because, like me, really respects the work that goes on in the classroom and didn't want those teachers to be without anything.
That's a fantastic gesture on that
very
person's part. One thing you touched on briefly, you were orienting the new staff on technology. The term STEM seems to be in the news a lot lately.
Right.
What is STEM for people who may not be educated, and what are you doing about STEM or with STEM?
So it's a focus as we're, I think off the air you talked about our United States chasing other nations in our academic performance, and a lot of that has to do with science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes, sir.
And that is the focus of STEM. There's also the acronym for STEAM when you throw the arts in there as well, and you're marrying that into the lessons and into the opportunities for students to learn. And there's even a STREAM one now too. You throw reading in there. Yeah. So it's just focusing on that technology and engineering piece, and we do a great job with that. We have everything from robotics in our classroom. Then that goes from K up to 12, and engineering coursework. This summer was our first STEM camp, where it was an enrichment opportunity for students to come in and learn STEM activities and take part in problem solving around STEM, and our district really championed that, and it was really very well attended.
Good. I'm glad of that. Mayor, as a businessman, local businessman, you must be anxious to have students educated in this way. So if they come to work for you, they sort of know what's going on.
Yeah, all our problems, Gene, are solved through STEM, through science, technology, engineering, especially in my profession, engineering and math.
Yeah.
And so it's it's a blessing when you have someone who's trained in those fields.
Yeah.
As opposed to not knowing anything.
Sort of, you have to educate
them.
It's better.
And it's important, I think, in our culture.
Yes, sir.
That we educate our children that way, because that seems to be the present and the future. As we talk about living on other planets.
Oh, God. So, at least I don't know if we'll be around to see that, Mayor. I won't be, I'm pretty sure.
Well, they're taking applications.
One thing, if I may, Mayor, you're certainly familiar with Trenton and what they do with budgets. And Superintendent, I understand that Trenton sort of cut back on your allowance or on the contribution.
When we receive our state aid numbers in February, compared to the 16-17 school year, 17-18 school year, and going forward to 18-19 school year, we were expected to receive an increase, a little in excess of $400,000 and just in state aid. And when we adopted the budget based upon those numbers, they came back to us and said, "You're not only not going to receive the $400,000, but we're taking another over $600,000 from you."
Really? Wow.
So it was in July that we received those numbers. So it really came to in the amount that we had budgeted for. And
Yeah, I was going to say, you've already planned.
You already started spending.
Yes, sir.
And they came in and said, we're reducing your state aid by $1 million after it was already a fixed number in our budget. So it creates a challenge. It doesn't create astronomical challenges that impact staffing or anything, but it creates challenges for us on how do we prioritize what our needs are. Right. And we already had, and which we'll probably talk about a little bit, the need to increase our security and safety within our buildings. So we knew we could not reduce there because that's just a priority in this day and age. So we decided to just tighten the belt a little bit, look at some of the the purchase orders that are out there, some of the spending line items that we might have been spending on for things that aren't immediate priorities. Instruction's a priority. Having excellent staff's a priority. Having a safe, secure learning environment is a priority. So we made sure that we put money into those, and we'll save a little bit elsewhere. And then we had the SALK piece, and having those 30 hours, 30 men working 24 hours a day.
That didn't help.
No, we're probably around $1.5 million in cost just for that SALK remediation alone. We have insurance coverage up to $1 million. But again, it's like anything else. You have to put the money out, submit a claim, and then try to fight for every dollar you can get back. So we're in that process right now. We hope to get back at least $1 million of it. But I'm not so sure.
Okay. Well, thank you, Superintendent. One thing, when the school year started, how was attendance?
You know what? The attendance right now is up over last year. I think in the high school, the past 2 days, we averaged around 77 to 78 students absent. That's not a lot. Can you think about?
What do you have, about 2,900?
About 2,900 students between both buildings.
Yes, sir.
So that's a significant. The state is making a really big push towards addressing chronic absenteeism in school, and it caused us to create a little shift in our procedures and that we have for our students. So the state basically said we acknowledge there's 5 reasons why a student can be excused absent. 1, if they're a junior or a senior visiting a college, they get 3 college visits. 2, if there is a religious holiday. 3, Veterans Day, if your school is open on Veterans Day, you can take Veterans Day off. 4, if there's a transportation issue as far as your ascending district, when this doesn't really impact us, because let's say I closed for weather, but I was transporting a student to Middlesex County VOTEC.
Yes, sir.
They'd be excused in Middlesex County VOTEC if I closed here, but they didn't close there.
Okay.
And 5 being take a child to work day. Those are only 5 days
that are acceptable
under just the regulations for the Department of Education. So we had to pass that along to our students and our parents, and kind of educating them about it, that you have to stay under 17 days absent throughout the course of the year, 181 days of instruction. We don't want you to exceed 17 days, which shouldn't be a problem. There's always health issues, and we'll address those when they come up. If you have a health issue that caused you to exceed those days, obviously we're going to offer you home instruction after a certain time, and then you're not absent at that point if you're on home instruction. But if you still exceed it, then there's an appeal process, but we have to go through it. And we have to show to the State Board of Education we're doing our due diligence to make sure our students are in the seats, because that's the only way we can educate them.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Superintendent. We're going to be taking a break right now, folks. We're talking with David Cittadino, who is the Superintendent of Schools here in the township. He's telling us a little bit about the ins and outs of what takes place behind the scenes. We'll be back in just a moment, so please stay with us.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day, he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you.
getting that college education.
What are you gonna do?
Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else? Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher.
You could be my teacher.
You got the skills, the smarts.
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget. That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess?
What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
You made her college years possible, opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. Our guest today is our Superintendent of Schools, David Cittadino. Superintendent, again, welcome. If we can pick up where we left off.
Sure.
And Mayor, I know you and I have talked many times on this show about the township being one of the safest townships in the state. Mm-hmm. Now the safety issue seems to be switching over to Dave's bailiwick, safety in the schools.
Right.
How safe are the schools these days?
Well, according to certain measures, we're the 8th safest school district in the state of New Jersey. That was last year's data, and
right.
It was great accolades to receive that. I think it's only because we have a great partnership with the township, the mayor, Board of Education that's been on board from the beginning about making sure that our learning environments were safe, because you can't learn in fear.
Right.
And we have a great partnership. So this year, when students reported to our schools, it was the first time that every school has a police officer in it, an armed police officer.
An armed police officer?
Yes, who was either a Special Officer 2 or a Special Officer 3. Mm-hmm. The 3s can only work in schools, and they're all retired officers within the past 2 years that the township has hired. And the 2s you're either retired or you've gone through the academy and you kind of work at a shore, or you can work in a resort area. But we're getting them to come back and work with us too, because we have a great schedule for them. You can work in Seaside and Belmar, July through August, and then you come back to us September and through the rest of the year. So it works out well in that way, and we're happy to have them.
You have to cover 16 schools, is that correct?
So we have 17 school buildings.
17 school
including
buildings.
Glenn, where we have an officer there as well, because we have our special needs and our pre-K facility there. Mm-hmm. And, evil will do the craziest things, so we can't take anything for granted, and we want to make sure our students and our staff are safe in every building. It's a great program. We're getting lots of calls from other towns and municipalities wondering, how are you doing it? What are you doing? We're hearing great things. The officers in the schools become part of the fabric of the school. The kids love to see them in the morning, standing out front and there and making sure that they're safe when they come in. There's a visible presence. There's a psychology to being safe in the schools. Yeah. The township acquired a Humvee, a military Humvee, that sits in front of the grade 9 center every day. So when you're driving by and you're thinking, well, maybe it's a day where I do something bad, and you see a military Humvee in front of we take school safety and security very seriously. Yeah. So it's a great program, and again, it's a partnership, and it wouldn't be possible without that partnership.
Right. How about the physical infrastructure things, the locked doors, the bulletproof glass, the magnetometers? Is that in place too?
We do a lot of those things. I never like to put the playbook out on what all the things we do and we don't do, because you don't want to expose any weaknesses. But we have a lot of things in place. We spend a lot of time and resources looking at intelligence and what information is out there, what students or outside threats might be saying online. We're taking a look at all of that, and we make sure we harvest that and we use that in a collective measure to, again, examine and make sure our schools are safe. So I think that's part of it that we do. We have a lot of training. We just hosted this year Michelle Gay, who does Safe and Sound Schools. She lost her daughter at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and she kind of met with not only Old Bridge resources like police officers and school leaders, but we invite them from around the county to come to hear her message on how to protect schools and how to have a reunification plan. God forbid something happens within your school, that students need to be reunited with their parents.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent.
Gene, let me just add
yes,
to that.
Please,
we
Mayor.
also provide that security for our before and after programs, which
right.
take place prior to the school day starting and after the school day has ended. So it's important for the parents to realize that, and I think they do, that when they bring their students there, their children there in the morning for before care or after care, that they are also in a very secure, safe environment. And public safety is my number one.
I know it is, and it certainly contributes to your efforts with Steve and drawing new business to the township.
Yeah, so
Definitely so.
Thank the police for, it's a logistics nightmare.
Yeah,
that
I'm
kind of
sure.
hours of each
Yes,
day
sir.
being covered by
Yeah.
a police officer. But they're up to the task, and so far so good. I've interviewed every new officer that's come and explained to them what how important their role is, that they're protecting our greatest resource here in Old Bridge. And they all seem to be on board and really enthusiastic about their role that they're going to play in our community.
Okay, good. If we can switch gears just a little bit, Superintendent, one of the issues we've discussed has been the drug issue in the township and the school system. What's going on there? There is the Teen Alliance, the Municipal Teen Alliance, the police, the hospital. How are these working together?
Well, it's a great, again, another partnership. There's like a three-way partnership between the schools, the Township Municipal Alliance, and Hackensack Meridian Hospital, providing us with resources and training, providing us sometimes with a venue in which to host these educational opportunities for not only our staff, but our parents, our students. They outreach into the schools with the Municipal Alliance, having guest speakers and come in and talk to them about the dangers of gateway drugs and how that can impact you. And so it's been a great opportunity for us to work with experts and professionals in this nightmare that our nation is facing. So last year, for instance, we held informational nights for parents of graduating 8th graders. Very successful, a lot of positive feedback out of that. This year, we're going to open it up to other parents as well, but it'll still be something we want to examine, making sure parents are there and they get the information, because that's the only way to save lives is you have to chisel at it one at a time to make sure. So we're going to keep on heading that way, and this whole vaping crisis.
I was going to ask you about the vaping. It seems to be big news lately.
Yeah, it's even in the federal government. They're looking at banning it. It is truly a nightmare within the schools. Again, there's companies out there. I almost want to say that they don't have a soul for what they're trying to do with our young people and trying to get them hooked on chemicals that are bad for them.
Yes, sir.
So you go to these stores and it's marketed towards kids with vaping products that are strawberry lemonade flavored, watermelon flavored,
mango is big.
The mayor and I aren't going in there, just 7-Eleven and stores saying, let me try that watermelon flavored tobacco over there.
Right.
It's obviously geared towards young kids. And once they get hooked on it, they develop ways for them to be using vapes without even schools or officials or parents even knowing about it. They make odorless ones, smokeless ones.
I know.
So the fact that you could just do it and no one would even know, but you still have the dangerous nicotine addiction that you're facing. And that's the kinder part of it. Then you have outside entities that introduce anything that you can put into there, but that is anything from THC liquids, other opioid-infused liquids that go into these vapes, and they're impacting lives. And even with the imitation marijuanas out there, people are dropping to the ground, and it's all again being targeted towards our young people. And we have to do something about it, because I'm taking a tough stand on it. So I
agree.
in our schools, if you vape, we catch you, you're getting tested, because I don't know what's in it. It's not 1985. If I catch you with a pack of Marlboros, I know you're smoking a Marlboro. When you're smoking a vape, I have no idea what's in it. So we're going to have to assume the worst and assume that there might be a drug in there that can harm you, so we're going to test you. And if you test positive, you're not going to be going to Old Bridge High School. You're not going to be going to Jonas Salk Middle School or our Carl Sandburg Middle Schooler for a bit. You're going to be meeting with me, and we're going to talk about with your parents how to best treat your drug problem. And it's a tough nature I have to stand I have to take, but I have to look out for the complete 9,000 students, not just the ones that are vaping.
Right. How does this play with the push to legalize marijuana in the state? What do you think, Mayor? It seems inconsistent. All this concern about opioids and drug abuse, and now we're pushing to legalize marijuana. It seems there's a slippage there.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Being fairly intelligent, I think it's about money at the state level.
Yeah.
I think they see revenue from taxes. I don't think they see the human, the negative impact. It's going to have a positive impact on, on the finances of the
budgets,
state.
yeah.
But I don't get it. But it looks like the push is on to legalize it.
Yeah, it seems to be.
And it's going to bring a whole nother challenge.
Very inconsistent
Because
push,
now
another
the
challenge.
students are going to have access to it.
Yeah.
If it's in the house.
Legal access
Legal
to it.
access
Legal
to it.
access to it.
If they're 18 or 21, whatever they're going to make the age
Yeah,
at.
it seems inconsistent.
But even if they're not of the age, they're going to have access to it.
Right.
Okay. If we can turn to good news, okay?
It's all good news.
It's all good news.
It's all good news.
The schools have received many accolades under your stewardship. School of Character, Blue Ribbon Awards. You just mentioned the Niche Distinguished School Award. Could you elaborate a bit on where you stand right now with this, what's coming down this year?
Well, niche.com, they look at school districts and use a few different metrics to measure the best school districts. And in the past few years, we've gained a lot, hundreds of points on that rating. We're at number 65 out of close to 386 school districts in the state of New Jersey, which is great. Obviously, I want to be number one, but they do that based upon school safety, students' performance indicators, parental reviews about the schools. So obviously it has an impact because I look at my role in being the township superintendent that I have a responsibility to the mayors too, because he wants to make sure people want to move to this town.
Right,
he wants to
right.
make sure that the value of a home goes up
Yes,
during
sir.
his leadership. So I have that responsibility to him and to our Board of Education. So I take that very seriously, and I'm proud of our gains. We were just recognized by the National Special Olympics as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
We have programs in our school called Play Unified that has an inclusion program where our special needs students are in athletic environments and recreation environments, playing and learning alongside all of their peers. And it's a nationally recognized program now. We received a Banner School Award at Old Bridge High School for the work of the great teachers there that are bringing it in. And at Shepherd School, it's expanded as well. And just yesterday, I received information that we received a $10,000 grant to expand the program through Special Olympics. And they want our teachers and our students to go out and model this for other districts in New
really?
Jersey.
That's very
so
encouraging.
they can do what we're doing and have that inclusive environment for our neediest learners.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. One last thing before
Yeah.
we go. You look over the horizon of this school year. What's the biggest opportunity you see?
The big opportunities we have is to keep working at it. Like you said, we have received a lot of accolades.
You have, yeah.
And sometimes that can cause complacency, and complacency can be a great challenge to get moving forward and keep making new gains. So we have a great staff, so I'm not worried about the complacency. My job is just to be the rah-rah guy and tell you to keep moving, keep climbing, which is our district theme this year.
That's what I was going to ask you to close out. Your theme is?
The climb. So, if you see people who are mountain climbers, whatever, you get to those peaks and you think that's the summit of the mountain, but it's sometimes
Yes,
a
sir.
false summit. It's not the top. You get there, there's another summit you have to keep climbing towards. And no matter what the challenge is, you keep climbing. And they say that the roughest side of the mountain is always the easiest one to climb because you have something to hold on to and pull yourself up by, where the smooth side is nothing to climb onto. So we embrace those challenges. We embrace those rough moments we're going to reach because it's going to teach us a lot about ourselves and it gives us something to hold on to and pull ourselves up and be the best school district in the state of New Jersey.
And it's called The Climb.
The Climb.
The Climb. Great idea.
Thank
Great program. Great theme. So I think we're in good shape. Mayor, anything to add?
No, good luck on our fall sports. Looking
Okay.
forward to the
We're
standing on
starting
the
off with that,
sidelines.
huh? Okay.
Very excited. We have our Old Bridge quarterback playing for Rutgers.
Yes.
That's a product of the Old Bridge school system. Is the quarterback for
Great.
Rutgers.
I was able to stand on the sideline for the first home game and
Yeah.
looked great. I hope to see him back
Yeah.
the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a lot going on.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you again, Superintendent. Always a pleasure to have you. Your 6th visit. We'll look forward to the next one, whenever that may present itself.
God will.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care of yourself.
Thank you.
And folks, this has been Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry, our guest, Superintendent of Schools David Cittadino. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. I'm Gene McLaughlin.